Hello collectors, welcome to another episode of the unboxing experience. I'm Joe Prodzic, and today these are not the statues that you're looking for. That's right, I'm mixing it up, changing things up a little bit. I'm actually going to be unboxing a couple of hot toys. Now don't worry, this channel isn't going to go all hot toys crazy. It's still going to be focused primarily on statues. But since I have personally started to add some hot toys to my collection, I decided to share them with you in an unboxing video. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that I once did collect Star Wars statues and some other collectibles, but I decided to stop collecting that line. I just had one line of statues too many. I was running out of space and I was running out of room in my budget. So the alternative to that was to start collecting hot toys. Now, I did still keep two Star Wars statues in my collection. I kept Darth Malgus from the Star Wars The Old Republic video game, and I kept an Anakin Skywalker statue as well. But after about a year of not getting any Star Wars collectibles, and then The Force Awakens came out, Rogue One came out, I just had a bit of excitement in me for Star Wars, and I had to up my Star Wars game, and I had to get some Star Wars collectibles. So I ultimately landed on hot toys. They're still high-end collectibles, but they're a little bit more reasonably priced, about anywhere between $200 to $250. So I have several hot toys in my collections already. I've got Rey, Finn, Kylo Ren, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Captain Phasma, and Stormtrooper from The Force Awakens. I also have Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda as well, which I really enjoy. Now, when I first started collecting, I originally was expecting that I would get more into hot toys rather than statues. And that was because in the past I traditionally would collect action figures, which are only about $20 or $30. And then I thought I would be collecting hot toys as well because I leaned towards figures rather than statues. So when I first started collecting statues, I was also getting into hot toys. I had purchased a Hugh Jackman Wolverine statue. I think the movie that it was from was The Wolverine, was the first hot toy I purchased. I also purchased that Marty McFly hot toy as well. When I got that Hugh Jackman Wolverine hot toy, I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I took it out of the box, realized that I had to pose the thing, I had to mess with the clothes, and at the time it just wasn't for me. It felt more like I was playing with toys rather than collecting them. And at the time, that was just something I did not like, I didn't enjoy. You know, I would take off his trench coat, take off his shirt, and he just looked basically like a doll, right? So that turned me off pretty quickly to hot toys. As I started to get into Star Wars hot toys, my mind has changed a little bit. I quite enjoy posing the figures. It lets me be creative with my collection, and it makes it so that my collection is unique from everyone else's. You know, when we buy a fixed pose statue, you basically display it one way. Maybe there's some exclusive pieces, but there generally aren't a whole lot of angles you're going to display it from. And so my Bane statue is going to look like everybody else's Bane statue. But with my hot toys collection, I can pose the figures any way I want, so my collection can look a lot different than other people's. Now, even though most of the hot toys collections I see have their hot toys posed like in a stagnant pose, I'm not doing that with my collection. I'm actually posing the figures, so give them a little bit that dynamic pose, a little bit more action in the pose. So I really enjoy that part of hot toys. Even though I did it at first, now I'm coming along and I'm enjoying the artistic and kind of the unique creativity part of collecting action figures. And my tools of the trade when unboxing a hot toy is a little bit different than unboxing a statue. I do still have my straight edge razor to open any tapes on the boxes. Honestly, I prefer to use these small scissors. These are the scissors used for cutting hair, so they're not very sharp. A lot of the pieces in the hot toys come wrapped in plastic with some tape, and so this allows you to cut without damaging what's inside. I also like to have a set of small screwdrivers like you would get for a glasses kit. A lot of these figures have light up features, and to light them up you have to insert a battery or turn them on. So there's just little screws that you have to open up in order to use the light up features of some of these figures. And then I also keep a pair of tweezers handy. This comes in handy when working with the fabric and the clothing of the Hot Toys, and sort of pulling on it and adjusting it to make it how you like. It's really helpful for me when switching out arms on the figures, especially like those light up lightsabers. They usually, their arm will disconnect up here at the shoulder, but they'll still have a lot of fabric here that you kind of have to jimmy the arm inside. So I found that these tweezers really help with that. Now I don't think I'm gonna need a lot of that today, as today I got the Luke Skywalker from The Force Awakens. He didn't have a lightsaber in that movie, so he will not have any batteries to light up. And then I've got the K-2SO here. He doesn't have any fabric to mess around with. So I'm really looking forward to opening these two figures and putting them in my collection. They are both great characters from the Star Wars movies. Really liked the look of Luke in The Force Awakens. We're all looking forward to seeing him more in The Last Jedi. And then Rogue One K-2SO, one of the best parts of that movie. Now to buy these as statues, you can get K-2SO from Sideshow Collectibles in statue form, but his pre-order only came out a couple weeks ago, and he's priced between $500 and $600. It's only about $240 for this guy. And then for the Luke Skywalker, Sideshow is only releasing a Empire Strikes Back version of him right now. They don't have one from The Force Awakens, so you can't get this in quarter scale statue form. So the other thing I like about Hot Toys is that they come out and release the characters really quickly. Like Sideshow is just putting their K-2SO up for pre-order, but I already got this Hot Toys version in hand. And then just a couple days ago, Hot Toys put up for pre-order the Kylo Ren figure from The Last Jedi. It's going to take Sideshow probably a couple years to have anything from The Last Jedi out, so I really like that about Hot Toys as well. Now remember, I am pretty new to Hot Toys. I mostly collect statues, so I'm not as well versed in the Hot Toys universe, the Hot Toys collectible universe, as I am with statues, so I'm still new at this, guys. Be gentle with me. So now I'm going to get started with first up, I'm going to open up this Luke Skywalker figure from The Force Awakens. Alright, so much like Sideshow's Star Wars figures, the boxes for these Star Wars Hot Toys are very similar. They're very plain with their art. You're just going to see a picture of the figure on the front with a little Star Wars logo. And then the box is going to be kept pretty clean, pretty simple. Star Wars logo on top. You do have a little bit of info here on the back, basically just warnings and a bunch of Hot Toys mumbo jumbo. So this is the Movie Masterpiece Series MMS 390 Luke Skywalker 1/6 scale collectible figure. Alright, so when opening the box, you usually get a nice piece of art here. Usually, for my Hot Toys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pose my figure like one of the pictures that are here inside the box. So maybe I'll try out this pose. You can remember from the Force Awakens movie, that's basically all Luke Skywalker did in the entire movie. So it would be a good pose to put him in. Now, usually there's several images inside there to be able to choose from, but I actually really like that one. So when you open the figure, you're going to have a protective shell holding everything into place. Now this guy does not have a lot of switch out parts. He basically has a couple of hands. A couple of right cybernetic hands, a couple of left human hands, and you've got the figure there. Alright, so there is Luke. You can see all the stuff is just starting to fall out when I lift it up. That's why the protective shell is there. So you can see the figure here in the case. So now the first thing I'm going to remove is the little protective piece over his face. And then we can remove the figure. Now, so yes, it comes with a couple of different base options. He comes with this scenery base from the island that they visited. And then they come with the standard Hot Toys base. Probably going to use this base. This is the base that I prefer. I only use the scenic bases so far, when that's all they come with. Like my Yoda only came with the scenic base, and then I think Chirrut Imwe, my Ip Man figure. When I ordered that, only the deluxe version was available, so he only came with the scenic base. So this is what most of my figures have, so that's the base that I'm going to go with. So I'll let you take a look at that scenic base here. And then you got this Rebel Alliance style base. It's the one I prefer. With a bit of film covering the top. On the front of the base it does say Luke Skywalker. A lot of them will have like little plates that you put on front, which I like. Then the other thing that these figures will come with is little ball joints, so you can attach the hands if the existing ball joints get ruined. This one only comes with one, but some of the others come with a couple. All right, so you can see the figure does have some protection. It's going to be protection here on the face. And protection on the hands. And that's to prevent anything from rubbing inside the package, ruining that paint. Also got some on the boots, and these are usually taped. So here's the figure outside of the box. I'm gonna put him here on his little stand. I'm gonna move that hook up into his crotch there to make sure he stands up. So there you go. Pretty simple, pretty easy. You can see he already comes with a couple of hands, left hand and a right hand, but if you want to pose him a little bit differently, you can do that. Now I'm going to try to pose him like I did in this picture here, but I might need to switch out one of those hands. Definitely gonna have to switch out that left hand. So let me do that. Let me try to pose him up, and then we'll take a closer look. All right, so that's about the best I'm gonna get with that pose for now. Trying to match the Hot Toys poses can be particularly difficult. The hood does have some wires in here, but I do wish it had some wires in the back, because that's what's poofing up his hood. Now, it could be a struggle to get the right pose that you want, and a lot of people who are more experienced with posing their figures have a lot of tips and techniques. I really like that how to be a poser on Sideshow's YouTube channel. It really shows you how to pose your figures pretty well. And it can take a long time to get your figure posed to exactly how you want it. Like I'm gonna have to put some tape on this back of this hood, I think. Some double-sided tape to get it to stay where I want it. Really do wish there was wire in the back of that hood to make it more stay down a little bit more, because it doesn't want to, the point of the hood kind of wants to stick up and stick out rather than lie flat, which is how it is in that picture. So if you don't enjoy messing with fabric, messing with clothing, you're not gonna really enjoy Hot Toys, especially some of these figures like Luke Skywalker here, who has one of these Jedi cloaks here. It does have some wires in it on the bottom, around the side, and in the hood. I wish it did have it back here. But like I said, one of the things that you try to do with these figures is you try to hide all the joints to make it as realistic looking as possible. That's not going to be too possible with that type of pose, and this is kind of where these tweezers will come in handy, so I can pull on the sleeve of his shirt there. So there you go. That is Luke Skywalker. You can take his cloak off. It does have a couple of magnets in here, and that's how it's able to attach to his shoulders there. There we go. So it's able to stay like that. So, in the end, I'm not sure if I'm going to go with that taking of the hood off pose. So I'll have to look and see about some other poses for this piece. That might be a little bit too difficult for this Hot Toys noob to pose them like that. But overall, the figure is really cool. A lot of people were complaining about the face sculpt on this guy. In person, I really like it. You don't get this kind of character likeness with movie-based statues, and so it's really really cool. That's another reason why I like Hot Toys, because their likeness to the actor is really really good in comparison to some quarter scale statues where it's more of a comic book like feel. So the mixed media or the clothing on the figure is done really well. A lot of details in his hands, an extreme amount of detail in this face sculpt. It's just awesome. So I think he's gonna fit great in my Hot Toys Force Awakens collection. Like I said, no lightsaber on this guy, so no light up features. Maybe with the Last Jedi version, we'll get a light up lightsaber. Hopefully, he even uses one in that movie. We'll have to see. So now let's take a look at K-2SO. All right, so now here I have K-2SO from Rogue One, Star Wars story. You see the box? It's going to be very similar for all these Star Wars statues. Picture of the figure on the front, a little bit of Star Wars artwork, some Hot Toys mumbo jumbo. This is the MMS 406 Movie Masterpiece Series. This one does have a little bit of accents here for K-2SO. Then he has some artwork here. I'll try to pose him too. And here is K-2SO. Inside the box, you can see a bit taller than Luke. Here he is inside the box. You can see him already dropping stuff. He's got his blaster here. He's got some little canisters here. You see he does have batteries. So that's where those screw drivers are gonna be. I guess he does have a light up feature after all. There's one thing I didn't mention with the Luke Skywalker figure was that on the bottom of the box, Hot Toys always includes these little instruction booklets. Now Luke Skywalker doesn't have any light up or extra features that you're going to need to look at to even need the instructions, but the K-2SO looks like he has some small parts that I'm going to want to look at. So what the instruction booklet says is it does show you how to open his head up for the light up features, where to put the batteries. Then it's going to show you where to put this little piece on the figure. And it's going to show you all the different ways that the statue moves to make sure you're familiar with it, to make sure you're not going to break anything. So this one does have a little bit different style base than Luke Skywalker. See, the top of the base has an image of K-2SO, and it has one of those different style nameplates that I was telling you about. All comes protected in plastic. So this piece of the base is actually optional. You can attach it there, or you can have the plain base. I'm just going to opt for the plain base. I like that more simple style. That is a pretty cool looking image. K-2SO there. Now here is the K-2SO figure. You can see very different from all the other Hot Toys I have, because all the other Hot Toys pretty much uses that similar figure base. So this one is not like that at all, and it feels more fragile than those figures. Right, so there is the figure. I've tried to pose him a little bit like he is here on the artwork. I don't usually install the batteries and light up my figures. I don't like to leave batteries inside them. I think in this case, the figure would definitely look great with the light up feature, so I may consider doing that, because you can't really see his eyes unless they're lit up like a droid's should be. One interesting thing about this guy is that he doesn't have switch out hands. His fingers are all individually articulated, and that's really, really awesome. So it wasn't too difficult to pose this guy, unlike the Luke Skywalker. I mean, you could see he has joints, but you don't need to hide the joints because he has the joints of a droid, and they articulate where they should. So I really like this guy a lot. In fact, I could say this probably might be one of my favorite Hot Toys. I think he's just done so well. He has a lot of articulation in those fingers. You're gonna have to work hard to make it look human-like. Trying to get him almost like that photo there. Some good crunch in those fingers. Trying to be really careful. Someone who's not terribly experienced with Hot Toys and posing figures, I'm worried that I'm gonna break something. That's also another reason why I don't like to mess with the light up features in my figures right now, because I'm still new to collecting figures, and I'm really nervous about breaking anything. Anytime I ever move my statues around, I usually break something, and I'm not really that clumsy of a person, but I just know if I go messing around with these little things, I just have a feeling I'm gonna break something, and I'm not gonna be too happy with that. So there is the K-2SO. I gotta say, it's fantastic. Someone who normally collects statues, I think this is just a really high quality. You know, this is a 1/6 scale, so it's on the smaller side of what I normally collect, but this is a pretty decent sized figure. The paint on this guy is, because most of the other Hot Toys I have are mixed media, right? They're covered in clothing, all except for the face and the hands. Paint on them is usually really good, but this K-2SO is painted from head to toe, and I'm really impressed with it. It's really high quality. Lots of little scuff marks, scratch marks where they should be on the droid. A lot of great little details in here, especially in his ab area here, around his face. Lots of little small fragile parts though, so you're going to want to watch out for that. Little antennas on the back here you're going to want to watch out for too. So I'm really digging this guy. Really digging this guy a lot. A lot of great details on him. So there's the K-2SO statue collector collecting hot toys. So here you can see the two figures next to each other. Kind of see the difference in the two, the height difference in the two. It's quite a significant height difference. A couple feet if you were talking realistic size wise. It's like K-2SO is a couple feet taller than the average human. So I'm really impressed with these Star Wars collectibles from Hot Toys. I'm really enjoying collecting them so far. I'm just starting to dip my toe in that universe. So I'm not the Hot Toys expert when it comes to these videos. I don't know a lot about articulation points and stuff like that because I normally collect statues and they don't move at all. So I don't need to know about articulation points. But I am enjoying learning more about Hot Toys, learning more about collecting figures. I'm really impressed with the high quality of these figures, and and the two things I really like about them is they're not that expensive. I mean, expensive for a figure, $230, $240, $250, about that. But compared to some of the statues I buy, you know, those Prime 1 statues behind me, like $1,000, and they take up a lot of room too. These don't take up so much room. I have them displayed right now in my DTOF. I got 4 shelves in there, so a DTOF I can have, you know, about 12 Hot Toys in there, where maybe I could fit 2 statues in there. So there's a lot, space-wise, makes a lot of sense for me, both in my budget and physical location. I hope you enjoyed this latest episode of the unboxing experience. Thanks for joining me as a statue collector takes a look at some Hot Toys. I am by no means an expert in collecting Hot Toys or collecting figures. There are tons of channels and tons of videos out there. You need a more detailed and comprehensive look at these figures. I personally recommend the channel of Dean Knight. He's one of the channels I go to when I'm looking when I look at Hot Toys reviews and unboxings, figures, really in-depth, really great knowledge about Hot Toys. Now let me know what you think of these Hot Toys figures, if you're looking to add any of your collection, if you have collected them in the past, and what you think and how they compare to collecting statues. I know a lot of statue collectors don't like collecting Hot Toys. They're not into posing the fabric, posing the figures, different things like that. Personally, I have come to enjoy that part of it. I like that I can make my collection unique. So if you're interested in ordering any Star Wars figures from the Sideshow website, I will post a link in the description of the video below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date on all of my latest unboxings, reviews, and check out Statue Talk, a bi-weekly talk show where a friend and I sit around and talk about the latest in statue previews, pre-orders, and share with you some updates to our collection. Remember, statue collecting, and yes, even figure collecting, is more than just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. This has been Joe Prodzik. Thanks for watching.